I don't believe that the law should be changed to say you can only resist force with force, because once you get to the point that great bodily injury may occur, then you should be able to protect yourself, your life, and, by the way, the life of another. We don't have to just wait until the very moment comes where you know it's deadly force. If somebody is beating on you, if they're smashing your head against concrete, and that gives you fear for great bodily injury, that is a well-founded 500 or 600-year-old standard that says you can resist that with force up to and including deadly force.
All right, that was Mark O'Mara, George Zimmerman's attorney, talking about Florida's stand your ground law. Even though it wasn't used in this case, it's got us talking about the law. Critics say that stand your ground is turning the U.S. into a nation of vigilantes who shoot first and ask questions later. And attorney John Phillips, who we've been talking to, understands that law because stand your ground may play a part in one of his cases now. Jordan Davis was shot and killed by a middle-aged white man who says he feared for his life. Jordan, like Trayvon Martin, was an unarmed black teen. So, John, how is this verdict impacting your case, going to impact your case? What are your thoughts?
You know, what if we're in a situation where George Zimmerman could become the first legal serial killer? He's got all these people that want him now, want to attack him, and he's able to one by one defend himself. That's where we're headed with a law like Stand Your Ground. Going back to Jordan Davis, Michael Dunn's last words to these boys, these 4 teens playing music, were, "You're not going to talk to me like that." And because he can now say after the fact, after he left, after he didn't call 911, after he went back to his hotel and had pizza, hey, I think they may have had a gun or a stick. That can't be the society that we operate in. That's not reasonable.
It makes me sad, too, my wondering in all of this, and obviously we've been talking a lot about race, but I've viewed George Zimmerman as being less of a racist and more of a Budinsky, that he was sort of an equal opportunity, and I'll refrain from using the swear words, but you know, he was a guy who didn't target Trayvon because of the color of his skin, but he targeted because he was a guy that liked to target, and that was his worldview. With Michael Dunn, the facts of that case are so outrageous, and it's a different situation.
You say it's so outrageous, and John, you and Mom and Dad, Jordan's parents, joined me on this show, and Mom actually said to me, "I don't want this to be about race." It was very powerful what she said. She also had an opinion about Stand Your Ground. Let's take a listen.
The bigger picture is making a change in the laws so that other individuals, not just children, but you know what's happened with Sandy Hook and Jordan and Trayvon, that this doesn't continue to happen. So it's a bigger picture, and it affects more than just, it's more than a white or black issue, and that's what we're going to concentrate on, because we know for the greater good that is a better way to handle this.
It's a strong woman. Now, I know you're going to, just to point out now, homicides in Florida have tripled since that law passed a few years ago, by the way.
Okay, but I'm coming out of my skin on this one. This was a totally different case. These kids were in the car. There was no physical altercation. This was Michael Dunn being arrogant and saying I'm sorry. Just outrageous what this guy did. Just outrageous.
But he's entirely within his rights. He's entirely within his rights because he comes back and says, hey, there was a gun pointed at me.
Yeah, but they're going to have to prove that.
And that's the problem, is it becomes so subjective.
But they're going to have to prove that. This is the
challenge.
And
there was no gun. They never found a gun.
The challenge here is, what do you teach your parents to teach their kids? Because the kids were seemingly minding their own business.
Well, they were turning the radio up, and John, feel free to jump in, right? Michael Dunn says, hey, man, turn down the radio. They turn the radio up even louder, but does that justify, I should be fearing for my life because they didn't turn down the music?
No, absolutely not. And that's exactly the point in all of this. And then after the fact, he produces the statement, well, I'm not sure if they had a gun or it might have been a stick. And there's no way that Michael Dunn, and I mean, obviously the jury is going to get the last word, but it does not appear that there's any reasonable way for Michael Dunn to embrace that law for his defense.
And we're going to obviously follow this case real quickly. John, did Jordan's parents react to the verdict over the weekend?
Oh, God. It's been the toughest. I mean, imagine having clients, for any attorney out there, that make you get goosebumps and cry. And to have 10 minutes after this verdict to be sitting in Sanford and get the text message freaking out about justice and not knowing where to go next was just as painful as I've ever had.
Well, we'll be talking a lot more, John, for sure, and we will follow that case.